Some foods are so much more than just sustenance. They're symbols, they're emblematic of entire cultures and civilizations, like olives. Every time you take a bite of one, you have thousands of years of history bursting in your mouth. I think that deserves a celebration. I'm making a whole olive and olive oil menu for my friend who is an olive fanatic. Halibut poached in olive oil and served with roasted butternut squash. An olive oil cake filled with squirty red grapes. Tapenade and pistachio tartines, a quick and unexpected topping for toast. And olive potatoes, a unique combination that makes potatoes and olives taste different. My first dish is halibut poached in olive oil. It's a really luxurious dish because it uses quite a lot of olive oil. It's not just luxurious because of the oil, but because I've got a gorgeous piece of halibut, which I just spent a fortune on. It's a nice, firm-fleshed fish, and it really has great flavor, so that's perfect for this dish. Now it's got the skin on it, and I'm going to take that off. Normally I leave skin on fish because I like a little contrast. When you fry it in a pan, it gets nice and crisp and it's delicious. But I'm poaching it in olive oil, and in that case it's going to stay soft, and that's not nice. So stick your knife sort of pointing downwards, and then just slide your knife along the skin. Now I'm not sure how much we're going to eat, so I'll just cut two. Maybe I'll cut it in 4, then we get 2 each. In the fish goes. Now this pan is just the right size because if you have it too big, you're going to waste a lot of olive oil. You just want everything to fit in there with a little bit of room around. Little canals of olive oil can run through. This is just olive oil, it's not extra virgin. I'm putting on enough just to cover the fillets of fish. It's going to poach very gently at very low heat. So every bit of fish has to be submerged. Now you can cook it just with olive oil, plain, but I'm going to add a few Mediterranean flavorings. First some garlic. And also a little orange zest. The last is a little bit of fennel seed, classic with orange. I'm just going to crush a bit because I want to release the flavors in my mortar and pestle. It's nice to stick to Mediterranean flavors that complement the olive, which is, of course, my biggest reminder of the Mediterranean. I think I'm just going to add a little thyme since I have so much of it. Beautiful. Just a bit of pepper. And the salt I'm going to save until the very end. This is a typical French thing to do. Once the fish is cooked, use fleur de sel, and it's that sort of crystallized thick salt that has a bit of crunch in every bite, and you just sprinkle that over top at the very end. You can do this on the stove top, but it has to stay at really, really low, gentle heat because you just want it to poach very slowly and be really tender. So I prefer to do it in the oven at really low, even heat, about 250. It just needs about 10 minutes and then it will be perfectly tender. That fish took a little longer than I thought. It should be done now. Looks fantastic. I'm just going to steal a little corner. The olive oil is just warm and it's beautifully flavored with orange and fennel and thyme. Joanne is going to love that. Now I just want to make a little squash puree to go on the side. Hi. I never know what to buy. It's like wine or something. It's, so many bottles. I'm overwhelmed.
So how would about start with this one?
A whole shot?
Just a little bit.
Don't get me drunk. I like the package. I'm a sucker for packaging. Because it's very nice. It has no sharpness. That's really great. I'll take it.
Okay.
I'll take it. I'll take one of everything.
Okay.
I'm doing a whole menu celebrating olives and olive oil. So for my main course, I want to have a few vegetable side dishes. This one actually doesn't have any olive oil in it, but that's okay because there will be olive oil all around it. So this is a butternut squash, and they are great because they have thin skins. It's a summer squash, and that means that they're easy to cut without doing yourself an injury. And this is the best method for doing this if you're going to puree it, because it stays really, really moist and is very easy. Another reason why I like to roast it for purees is that it has more flavor. It's even richer than if you boil it. And this is easy because you don't have to take the skins off. You just have to get the seeds out. I'm just going to put them on a baking sheet. I have parchment down. You don't really need that either, but I'm just taking an extra precaution. And now, because the skin is still covering the squash will steam inside and cook and become really soft, no crunchy edges, perfect for puree. These are going in a 400 oven for about half an hour. While those are in the oven, I have a potato dish. I haven't made it in years, and I can't even remember what it tastes like, so I'm excited to try it again. It has olives in it and potatoes, which is not strange, but it's a little unusual, so should be fun, and it will go really well with my halibut. I'm just chopping the onion in thin slices. So lots of onions. I'm just going to get my oil hot. And this uses a huge amount of olive oil, not extra virgin because it's going to cook for quite a long time, and I want about 1/4 cup. Now, I'm going to cook the potatoes and onions at the same time, and I want to cut them about 1/4 inch thick. Now the onions go in the oil, and the potatoes going with them. It's all going to cook together. Oh, and some garlic. I'll just leave these cloves whole. I'm glad I left the skins on. You just need to give them a good scrub. When you have these nice red potatoes, it really adds to the color of the dish if you leave the skins on. Now, some salt and pepper. Perfect. Those are beautifully browned. The onions are really soft. Look at that, and all golden. Now I'm just going to add a handful of green olives, handful of black, and some pine nuts, which are nice because regionally they go well with the olives. Much time. That looks and smells great, very rustic country look, and it's going to be beautiful with the fish. Now I just need to check on my squash. I love how they shrink up, and look, the skin almost puckers and pulls itself away from the squash. make a great base for the fish. It looks so good. This orange with the white of the fish against it and those bits of herbs. The orange in the fish too goes really well with squash. That's all set. Now I can get on with my amazing olive oil and red grape cake. This is my favorite cake of the moment, an olive oil cake, which is going to be the grand finale of my all olive menu, which I'm making for a friend of mine who loves olives. First, you need to separate whites from yolks of 5 eggs. Whites separated from the yolks. That I'll beat in a minute. But first, in with the yolks some sugar, 3/4 of a cup, just plain white sugar. Two things that really make this cake extra good. A bit of zest, citrus zests, orange and lemon. It's a bit more zingy lemon zest, and orange is warmer tasting. So the zest of a whole orange, the zest of a whole lemon, this is really a very Provençal cake because they grow citrus down there and olive oil is from there too. Good way to celebrate the south of France. Now I want the juice of that lemon too. I should get the oven on. 350, that's what it is for most cakes. Moderate oven. Next, some flour. You can use cake flour or regular flour. Cake flour will give you a slightly lighter cake. That's a cup. Whisk it until there are no more lumps. And now the star ingredient, olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil because you want it to taste really good, but don't splash out on something hugely expensive. Just a nice tasting regular extra virgin olive oil. 3/4 of a cup. Olive oil is of course replacing the butter, but it really changes the texture too. It's different from a butter cake. It's not strong. I mean, a French olive oil is actually good for this because it's quite mild tasting. Some are really, really, really strong, and you might want to avoid those because it is a cake. Now, whisk your whites. And I'm using a big whisk because it makes it faster. Maybe just a pinch of salt, too, in the whites, just to bring out the flavors in the cake even more. I'm telling you, a really big whisk for egg whites, and they're done like that. Now, I'm going to use a big spatula. First, just spoon a little of the whites into the batter, because the textures are really very different, and you want them closer to each other so that they're easier to fold in. And then you can add the rest of the whites. This time more gently to keep as much volume as you can. And you've got lots of volume. It's 5 egg whites. I've got here a spring-form pan. I've just lined it with a piece of parchment, buttered underneath. Boy, it's a beautiful batter. I mean, even before you cook it, you can tell you're onto something. Now, I'm not quite sure why I thought of this. I've heard of a grape cake before that's a bit like this. And then when I made the olive cake, I thought, wouldn't it be fun, because they kind of look like olives, to add a few grapes. Now there's a trick about this. What I've tried and what works is that you start off by adding half the amount of grapes, and these will sink down through towards the bottom, and then halfway through cooking, you sneak into the oven and just drop on a few extras, and those stay peeking out the top. Needs about 45 minutes in total. Let's check the cake. I love the look of it. It's so funny with these little olives, grapes, sticking out on top. And you can make it even more cheerful with a little more olive oil for one. It has a great olive oil taste, but this makes it kind of shine on top and look even better than this, if you can imagine such a thing. So just drizzle some olive oil on top and brush it around. And then I'm just sprinkling a little brown sugar over the top. And the olive oil will make it stick. It's a delicious cake. Really dense and wet, and it really tastes, in a faint way, of olive oil. I just have one last thing to make for aperitifs, little croûtes with fruity olives and crunchy nuts. I have a whole olive feast tonight for my friend Joanne who's coming over, olives and olive oil. I just have one more thing I want to make, olive tartines to start. So for tartines, you need, first of all, little croûtes made of French bread. So I'll get those started first. I'm just cutting on the diagonal because they're so pretty that way. Three each max. Goodbye. Now I'm making two kinds, black olive and pistachio, and green olive and almond. And I just want to experiment with some of my new oils. This one has blood orange in it, and I think it would be great with the almond and green olive one. So just a little bit. I'm just going to brush the tops of the bread so it gets nice and golden, and this will give great flavor. And the other one, I think I'll just leave it plain. I've got this great French olive oil. So fruity and light. I'm just going to put them in a hot oven for just 10 minutes until they're golden and toasted. Hot oven being about 400 Fahrenheit. This is such a great recipe. I got it from another friend of mine. These are Kalamata olives. These ones are already pitted. I just want to chop those. This is a bit like tapenade, but it's not tapenade because a key ingredient in tapenade is anchovies, and this is just olive. That's a nice rustic paste. And then back in the bowl. Just had a bit of lemon zest, and this will be nice. Get this nice, fresh, light citrus taste against the dense black olives. It will be delicious. And I'll add a little more of my fine French olive oil. I want it nice and wet. Now my green olives. Same process, two different tastes. I'm just going to chop the two different kinds of nuts. Pistachios for the black, and it looks great because they're lovely and green inside. And now my almonds, perfect combinations of nuts to go with olives. So 3 little tartines. You just pile it up on top of the toasts. Beautiful. And then some almonds on top. And on the black, go the pistache. It's a great way to start off my olive feast. I've got my halibut poached in olive oil and served with roasted butternut squash. An olive oil cake filled with squirty red grapes. Tapenade and pistachio tartines, a quick and unexpected topping for toast. And olive potatoes, a unique combination that makes potatoes and olives taste different. Olive you. Ha ha. Hi. Don't you look chic?
Thank you. You too.
Oh,
That looks so
Let's have a glass of
lovely.
wine first.
Can I pour?
Yes, pour.
Okay.
Oh, I'm happy. I love the squash with the fish. It's really good.
Delicious. I love the potato and the squash.
That fish is so tender. You can cut it.
Nope. Oh, can I? Olive oil cake, you say?
Yes, with grapes.
What's your favorite, green or black?
Green. What does that say about me?
Kalamata. That's me.
Oh,